In the high-stakes world of finance, just imagine for a second. What if you had a research analyst who was not only brilliant and incredibly fast, but who also literally never slept? Well, that's not science fiction anymore. Man Numeric has developed a seriously powerful new AI that's changing the game. So today, we're going to dig into exactly what it can do, and maybe more importantly, what it can't do, at least not yet.
This one line from their research paper just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what they're trying to build with their system, which they call AlphaGPT. The whole idea is to create this tireless digital colleague, one that's constantly hunting for alpha, that elusive edge that lets you beat the market. But why? Why even bother building something like this in the first place?
Well, the answer really comes down to a huge problem in modern finance: the data bottleneck.
I mean, think about it. The fire hose of financial data, the sheer number of potential signals, and the complexity of how markets interact, it's all exploding. It's just getting bigger and bigger every single day. But the number of hours in a day for a human researcher? Yeah, that's not changing. And that creates this massive bottleneck where a ton of brilliant ideas might just get left on the cutting room floor, simply because there isn't enough human bandwidth to explore them all.
And this is where things get really interesting. Let's meet AlphaGPT, which is Man Group's very own answer to this data overload. Now, what's really important to catch here is that phrase agentic AI. Look, this is not just another fancy chatbot that can summarize an article for you. No way. AlphaGPT is an entire workflow, a whole system designed to act like a full-on analyst, taking a research project from the very first spark of an idea all the way to a final, testable result.
So how on earth does it actually do that? How does it function like an analyst? Well, the absolute best way to understand it is to picture it as a perfectly coordinated digital, three-person research team.
Okay, so check out how these three roles work together. First up, you've got the idea person. This part of the AI brainstorms hypotheses at a scale that is just mind-boggling, sometimes spitting out dozens of really solid concepts in a matter of minutes. Then, the implementer steps in. It takes those abstract ideas and turns them into production-ready Python code, something that could take a human analyst hours, if not days. And finally, the evaluator comes in as the ultimate quality control. It stress tests every single output using the exact same tough statistical rules that a human-generated idea would have to face. It's basically a seamless, high-speed factory for financial research.
Right, but a system this powerful, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It brings up some much deeper questions. It has incredible potential for sure, but it also comes with its own set of dangers. Is it actually creative? And what are the hidden risks we need to watch out for?
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We hear all the time that these large language models are really just predicting the next word in a sentence. So can a system built on that foundation truly be considered creative, or is it just a really, really sophisticated automation tool?
The paper makes a fascinating point here. It argues that the AI's creativity comes from its sheer scale. AlphaGPT can explore this huge landscape of ideas and connections that a human might totally miss, not because they aren't smart, but just because of our own cognitive limits. And this really shows its true role. It's not a replacement for human intellect. It's a powerful complement to it. Humans provide the big picture strategy and the market intuition, while the AI handles the insane task of sifting through data and generating all those initial ideas.
Of course, when you're operating at that kind of speed and scale, you're going to introduce some new kinds of risks that have to be managed really, really carefully.
The first major risk is a classic in statistics, but it's basically on steroids here: p-hacking. The idea is, if you test thousands and thousands of hypotheses, you're bound to find some patterns just by pure dumb luck. They might look amazing on paper, but they'll completely fall apart in the real world when real money is on the line.
The second risk is something pretty unique to this kind of AI: hallucination and drift. This is when the AI says it's testing one idea, but the code it actually writes is testing something slightly different. It can misinterpret a concept or create a subtle logical error, which is obviously a massive, massive problem. But here's the key takeaway from the paper. Man Numeric doesn't see these issues as impossible hurdles. Instead, they just treat them like engineering challenges that need to be solved. They fight p-hacking with the same strict statistical discipline they've always used, and they combat hallucinations with really clever prompt engineering and multiple layers of validation checks, making sure the idea, the code, and the final results are all perfectly aligned.
So, all of this brings us to the future. With AI moving so incredibly fast, what does this mean for the long-term role of people,
of humans in finding that alpha?
And it's a totally fair question. If eventually everyone has access to these powerful AI models, does the advantage just disappear? Does it just level the playing field for everyone?
The paper's argument is that a lasting edge doesn't really come from the AI model itself. That part will probably become a commodity, like electricity. The real sustainable advantage comes from all the things you can't just copy and paste. Decades of unique proprietary data, a tech infrastructure that's been battle-tested through all kinds of market craziness, and maybe, most important of all, the institutional memory that guides the whole process. The AI is a powerful new tool for sure, but the wisdom of how to use it, that's the real asset.
And that really leads us to the single most important conclusion from this entire paper. This technology is not about replacing the human analyst. It's about amplifying them. Humans set the strategy, they understand the market context, and they make the final call. AlphaGPT just does all the heavy lifting, letting those humans operate at a scale that was pretty much unimaginable before. So as we wrap up, here's the question to really think about. The search for market-beating returns, for alpha, is clearly entering a brand new era. So is the future going to be defined by the lone human genius, by an all-powerful AI? Or, as this research seems to suggest, is it going to be a seamless and powerful synthesis of both? The answer to that question will probably shape the future of investing for years and years to come.